learned our first method for solving systems of equations. We solved them by graphing, right? First time we did it, we actually had to graph them by hand, and then we learned that calculator trick so that the calculator can find it for us, okay? Today we're going to learn another method for solving systems of equations. Okay? So this method is called substitution. And just like it sounds, we are going to be substituting something in for something else, okay? Now, these are the steps that you're going to have to follow in order to do this every time. The first step is always to make sure you've got one variable in either one of your equations, doesn't matter which one, that's on a side all by itself. Okay? So if I look at these two equations, I can see that in my first equation, the y is over here all by itself. No other numbers, no other letters, it's all by itself, right? So that's what they're talking about. You need to have a letter without anything else on that side. Okay, so this one happens to already be solved for us, so we aren't going to have to do any work, so I'm just going to copy that one down here. Okay, what this means is that y is 3x, right? Y equals 3x. That means anywhere there's a y, I could replace it with 3x, right? If y is 3x. So in the next column, we're going to do just that. Anywhere there's a y in this other equation, we're going to take it out. So I'm going to take out this y, and I'm going to substitute it with what we just said y is equal to. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite the second equation. So it was x plus, replace the y, yes, with 3x equals 8. And then once you've substituted, all you need to do at this point is solve. So if I'm going to solve, I need to put all my x's together. So what should we do here?
4x's.
Very good. Very good. So x is just, very good. Okay, but if you remember from last time we were in here, our answer is always a coordinate point, right? Well, we found the x value in the coordinate point. Now we just have to find the y. Well, I know what I can plug in for x, right? That means you can pick either one of your equations and plug it in. Okay, he said who wants to use the top one, so we're going to use this one. So I'm going to write that down over here. Y equals 3 times, what do we replace x with? 2. So y equals 6. Okay, so we have x, we have y. Last step is to write them as a coordinate point, just like we did before. So always put your x first, and then your y. So there's my final answer. So if you were to actually graph these two, that's the coordinate point where they would cross out. Okay. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so again, remember our first step is we have to have one letter all by itself. Well, right now, do either of these equations have a letter all by itself? No. So we're going to have to do some rearranging, okay? So maybe we pick our top equation. 2x plus y equals 9. Right. The easiest letter to get by itself would be the y, right? So if I just move the 2x, then we're done. So just like Luke said, we're going to subtract. So then I would have y is equal to, very good. Okay, so now do we have a letter all by itself? Yes. So that means anywhere there is a y in the other equation, I can replace it with what y is equal to. So now I'm looking at this other equation. Anywhere there's a y, we're going to take it out and put that in its place. Okay? So that's what it says now. Substitute and solve. So I'm going to start writing this bottom equation. The first thing in that equation was x plus said 4. Right. Take out your y, replace it with all of this. So I have to put my parentheses so I can write it all in the parentheses. Negative 2x plus 9. And then finish writing the equation equals 1. And then we're just going to solve it. Okay, so if I'm going to solve, what should we do first? Okay, so I got 4 times negative 2x. Okay. And 4 times 9. It's all equal to. Okay. Then what should we do? Right, we've got 2 terms with x's over here. Put those together, what are we going to get? So negative 7x. Very good. Okay. And what is 1 minus 36? Very good. So what's our last step here? Alright, we just need to divide. So when we divide, we end up with, very good. Right, so now that we found x, we're just missing y, right? Just like before, you get to pick. You go look at your 2 original equations that you started with, and you pick one. Which one do you guys want to use? The first one, okay? So we're going to look at this equation, but anywhere there's an x, what did we just figure out we can replace it with? Right. So I'm going to come over here and write it down. We'll have 2, but instead of x, plug in, good, plus y equals 9. Okay? Right. Okay, so we found x, and now we've also found y. Last step is just to write those 2 things as a coordinate point. We always put our x first, so our point is going to be good. Right. Okay, we got one more example. Flip it over on the back. Okay, so on this one they use letters besides x and y. Doesn't matter what the letter is. Remember, we just pick a letter that we want to get all by itself. So I will say that sometimes you need to look ahead, because whenever you try and get a letter by itself, you might end up getting fractions, and you don't want to get fractions, right? That makes it harder on you. So always look ahead, see which one is going to be the easiest to get a letter all by itself. Okay? Because on both of these, you're going to have to divide by either 5 or 3, right? And when you do, you get fractions. So we're going to use that top equation. Okay, so I'm going to copy it down in my box. 2a minus b equals 1. Yeah, we're going to subtract the 2. Very good. So then I have negative b is equal to
negative 2a.
Okay. Right. Last thing we have to do is get rid of the negative in front of b. So we do that by dividing everything by negative 1. And all that's really going to do is what? Change our sign. So this b will become positive. That negative 2a will become, and the positive 1 will become. Okay, so now do we have a letter all by itself on one side? All right, so we're good to go. That means anywhere there's a b in this equation, I'm going to take it out and replace it with what we just found out that b is equal to. Okay? All right, so I start to rewrite that equation. We've got 5a sure as soon as you put down a number, you always open that set of parentheses because we got to put the whole thing in there, right? So 3 parentheses 2a minus 1. Very good. And now that we've substituted, all we have to do is solve. So what should we do now? Yes, very good. So I'm just going to bring down my 5a, but then I'm going to distribute that negative 3. Good. And negative 3 times negative 1 equals 0. Right. Over here we got 2 terms with a in them. Okay. Right. Can't leave that a as a negative, so to fix it, divide by negative 1. Okay, so we end up with a equals Okay, so now that I know that A is 3, how can I find B? Right, we're going to go look at our 2 equations. Again, doesn't matter which one you pick. Luke said he wanted to use the top one. You want to use the second one? We can do the second one this time. We've done the top one every time. So if you want to use the bottom one, we can. Okay, so if you pick the bottom one, still going to work the same way. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and copy it down, but anywhere there's an A, what can I replace it with? Right. So I'd have 5 minus equals 6. Okay, so 5 times 3 would give us, good, minus 3b equals 0. Okay. And what is 0 minus 15? Okay, now we do still need to write our answer as a coordinate point, but it's not x and y, right? So that makes it a little confusing. Okay, in the alphabet, does x come before or after y? Before. In the alphabet, does A come before or after B? Before. So you just always put them in alphabetical order, whatever letters they give you. Okay. So for us, we would have the coordinate point. Here we go. Okay. So first, make sure you can get one letter by itself, and then you can substitute, and then you can find the first letter, plug it in. All right.